Hello, and today I'm going to show you how to make a garden salad, and you are assigned the garnish manager section of the kitchen. So what does that mean? Garnish derives from French meaning word garden, alright? So garnish is all produce, fruits, vegetables, the salad dressings, all cold food. Appetizers. They focus on the look of the food and the garnishing. They also do ice carvings, anything carvings. They really focus on the presentation, all right? You're just gonna do a garden salad, but you have a lot to do. So on day one, you're gonna be prepping your salad and you're gonna be putting it in a large bowl because this is a salad for the whole class. You're also gonna be prepping all of your salad toppings, which I'll show you how to do. You're gonna be making homemade croutons, and you are going to be making homemade salad dressing. So you have a lot to do. Whatever you don't finish on day one, you will finish on day two, all right? So your recipe is gonna use iceberg lettuce and romaine lettuce, all right? A combination of both makes for really good, romaine has more nutrition because it's darker green leafy vegetable, and romaine has more roughage, all right? So the combination of the two is what we like to do at Leiden. Iceberg is super cheap, romaine is not, okay? So keep that in mind, which is why we like to do both, okay? So to cut, we're gonna use a head of each. You're gonna take this and just hit it on the bottom, and then you're just gonna rip out that center, all right? So when you are working with this, you want to avoid cutting it too many times, because when you touch stainless steel with green leafy vegetables like lettuce, so it tarnishes them as they sit. So the less cuts, the better. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run it through, okay, just a couple times, and then I'll hand break it up. All right. So instead of putting this in a baggie, your teacher will provide you with a large bowl, and I am just going to pick up pieces of it and I'm going to hand tear it, okay? So I did use a knife to cut some of it just to save on time, but then you're just going to break those pieces into bite-sized chunks, just like so, okay? So I would assign, when you just break up tasks, one person would start cutting up the lettuce, one person will start prepping the vegetables, another person will start prepping the salad dressing, and another student will start prepping the croutons. All right, so lots to do, but the salad is really yummy, okay? So that's our iceberg. Now I'm gonna take my romaine, I'm just gonna cut this off, and similar, I'm just going to break it into pieces, like so. And then, if it still has a little bit of core on the bottom, that's fine. We'll break these up, okay? So then you're going to label, plastic wrap this, label it your period, cuisine chef, and you'll store this in the fridge for day number 2, okay? All right, so I'm pretty much good there. Get this all in here so you see how nice and full it is. All right. So salad is prepped. All right, so I'm gonna put that off to the side. All right, next thing, this still had a course, I'm gonna throw that away. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna prep my vegetables. All right, so I've already washed my vegetables. Each vegetable you are going to be reviewing your knife cuts. I'm gonna be right back to show you them. All right, so we are back, and here is my celery. You're gonna use one stalk, okay? So just one piece. You're gonna take your chef knife, cut off the top, throw that away. Always have a garbage bowl by you. All right, and then you are going to take your hand and your knife, I'm using a chef knife, and you're going to slice thinly away from you. All right, so we like to leave these somewhat larger. They are still bite-sized. You just want to make sure that it gets a nice little bite in everyone gets a little bit in their salad. All right, so you will prep these on day 1. All right, and then you'll put this in a baggie. All right, so I'm just gonna have all my veggies kind of prepped here so you can see them. On day 2, you'll kind of put them on your salad and make them look nice, all right? The next thing I'm gonna do is my carrot. I'm gonna do Julienne. I've already washed this. So when you do a Julienne, let's just do a quick recap. I cut out the top. I'm gonna divide this into 3 pieces. Now this carrot is very thin, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging to do, but you'll be just fine. So we're going to take my carrot, I'm going to flatten off my one side, and I'm gonna make it into a 3D rectangle, just like so. And then I'm going to make panels, just like so. Be very careful. And then you'll take your panels, line them up. Okay, and you'll do your Julienne, oops, which is your fine matchsticks. All right. Now the idea of this is that you are utilizing, this is not perfect, I'm saying that right now, this is not perfect, but the idea is that you just get like a nice little piece in right on the top, okay? Don't just do slices just because we want you to have the practice with those cuts, all right? The next thing I'm going to do is my red onion, all right? So the recipe calls for a half of a red onion. Now you don't have to add all of it. You can do a quarter of an onion, whatever you want to do. We're going to leave them pretty whole. Why do you leave onions pretty whole? We're going to thinly slice it, but you leave them large because if people don't like onion, they can pick it off, all right? So red onion is the least potent onion. It's still very potent, it's an onion, but it's not as strong as like a yellow or a white onion, which is why you often see the red onion in salads. It also adds a nice variation of color, okay? So I'm gonna cut my top, and I'm gonna cut my bottom, all right? I'm gonna throw this away, just like so. I'm gonna peel this off, my outer edge, just like so. And then onions have a natural separation. So when you slice it, you already have it cut. So this is what goes on the top, all right? So you're just going to thinly slice, all right? I'm gonna do the whole thing, all right? It adds a nice pop of flavor, but again, it's large enough if someone doesn't like onion, they can cut it, or they can pick it right out, okay? Now, this goes in its own separate baggie. If I put this on my salad and then serve it the next day, it's going to have a strong onion taste. So that's why we stir all of our toppings completely separate. All right. All right. The next vegetable I'm going to prep is my cucumber. I'm going to use the whole cucumber and I'm going to slice it. But I want it to look nice. So I already washed it. I'm going to take my vegetable peeler. I'm going to take and I'm gonna peel every other, leaving some of the green right in the middle, because then when I slice it, that will be decorative on the edge of the cucumber slice, just to add a little bit of variation, okay? You can also take a fork and take the tins of the fork, that's the points, and pull them through. That will make it look nice. You can peel it completely, whatever you decide to do. It is the garnish today. So take it into whatever direction you want. All right, then I'm going to slice off the top and the bottom just to level it off, throw those away, and then I am going to thinly slice. You can also use a mandolin if you have that available. Okay, just like so, all right? And then the last vegetable that you are going to do is your tomato. So you're using 2 Roma tomatoes, all right? So for that, you're gonna slice them in half, just like so. You're gonna take a bowl and you're gonna take out the center. So I love Roma tomatoes. I think they're the best tomatoes on the face of the planet, okay? But you don't want all this juice. If we were making a sauce or something, the juice would be amazing, but we're not making a sauce. We just want the flesh of the tomato, okay? So get rid of all that flesh of the tomato or it's gonna make your salad very wet. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it just like so, and then I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut a Julienne. This is similar, if you recall, to when you cut the tomatoes for the salsa, and then you put all of your Julienne cuts together and you go through, and we're going to do a brunoise, which is a small dice, just like so. All right, so there is our tomato. All right, so we have our tomato, our celery, our carrots, our onion, and some cucumber. You'll have a lot more because you'll do the whole thing. And then you're also gonna have a cup of cheddar cheese. So all these will be in baggies for the day you serve your salad. I'll come back and show you how to make the croutons and the dressing. Thank you. Hello, this tutorial is gonna show you how to make the croutons for the Garnish Manager garden salad. So what I have here is you are going to be using a stick of butter. So I'm going to use my induction burner. Okay. I'm going to heat it up to 350 or medium heat. All right. This is if you have everything prepped, this will go very quickly. To that, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons or 2 cloves of garlic, and we're going to let that start melting so it's all ready to go. All right, I'm just going to mix that up. I'm just going to let it melt. In the meantime, I am going to prep my French bread. Now, we just got a tiny little loaf. Now, your teacher might get you a big loaf. It depends on what's on hand. So the recipe calls for a half of a loaf. I would say about this much, about 8 inches of French bread is sufficient. So what you're going to do is you're going to use a serrated knife, and you're going to cut into your French bread, and you're going to essentially cut slices, and then you're going to go back through and you're going to cube them. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. Now, because you're going to melt it all together in here and flavor that bread, and then you're actually going to bake it. So right off to the side here, I have a sheet pan lined with parchment paper because we are going to bake these. Now, if you've never had homemade croutons, they're absolutely, positively amazing. All right. All right. So now I'm going to take my bread, and I am just going to go through and I'm going to cube it. Now, if you have lots of time, you can do tiny little cubes. Because you're going to be on a time crunch, you just want to make sure that they are bite-sized. Okay, I'm going to check on my butter mixture, and it's coming right along. As soon as all the bread is cubed, you're going to add it right to the butter garlic mixture. I'm just going to turn my heat off for a second, finish cutting this, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, we are back, so everything's melted. It smells amazing, and we are just going to add in all of our cubed up bread. And we're just going to toss it around. So essentially what's going to happen is that bread is going to soak up the garlic and butter mixture. Alright, so you want all of that kind of saturated in there. Keep tossing it around. And then we are going to lay it out on our prepped sheet pan, and we are going to bake it. Okay, so we are going to bake it in the oven, 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. Now, you got to keep an eye on it. Sometimes it bakes a little bit faster depending on the oven being calibrated. So keep an eye. You just want it light golden brown. As soon as it comes out, you need to let it cool. All right. And the reason you need to let it cool is because if you put it in a baggie right away, it will melt the baggie. So let it cool, and then you'll put it in your baggie. Okay. So I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. All right. So we are back, and I finished making our croutons. So you can kind of see what those look like. So they're nice and cool. Now we're focusing on presentation. So I put the croutons in a little serving bowl off to the side. Why do you put them not on the salad? People are gluten-free. Okay, so this allows people that are gluten-free to still enjoy the salad and then have croutons if they want them. Okay, so we have our salad. We're going to put our vegetables on this in a couple minutes. We're going to make our dressing, put it in a squirt bottle, and then you'll have every component done. Okay, so for this dressing, we are going to use a blender, so make sure that that blender is on. The base of our dressing is Greek yogurt, which I've already pre-measured. So you're going to use a half cup. Okay, and I just put it in baggies. So depending on how you get things done, you can make the dressing the day of. Just make sure everything is pre-measured. All right. So the base of most dressings is actually mayonnaise. This one is Greek yogurt, so it's a little bit healthier. Okay. So I'm just going to put that off here. To that, I'm also going to add a 1/4 cup of olive oil. If you don't have olive oil, you can substitute for vegetable oil or corn oil. All right. Olive oil is going to add a little bit more flavor, a better flavor, and it's much healthier. All right. To that, I'm going to add our white wine vinegar, and you need a 1/4 cup. White wine vinegar is going to give that little acidy taste to it and preserve all the goodness of that salad dressing. Okay? And then I'm going to add, now the recipe calls for honey or sugar. Honey is going to add a little bit of a unique sweetness for granulated sugar. We're just going to add sweetness. I like the honey, but if you don't have it available, you can just use sugar in its place. And you just need 1 teaspoon. Alright, so that's why it's so much easier to put it in a baggie this way and then squeeze it right out. Alright. And then in my little baggie of spices, I have garlic powder, dried basil, dried oregano, I'm looking at it, dried parsley, salt, and then a little bit of red pepper flake. We're gonna blend it all together. You can taste it and then you can always adjust, okay? So all those spices are gonna go right into there. Homemade salad dressing's amazing. People don't always make it just because it's time consuming, but it tastes really good. I'm gonna put our lid on it. You could mix this by hand, but the blender is gonna make it very thorough. All right, I'm gonna pulse. All right, and it's almost done. About 1 minute. I'm gonna stop it after about 30 seconds, kind of look at it. Smells like Italian dressing. I'm just gonna give it a couple more pulses. All right, at this point, you would take a tasting spoon, you taste, and then you can always adjust. Now know that as the flavorings sit together, they will marry and they'll intensify with time. So don't overdo it with the salt, all right? So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna put my salad dressing just in our squirt bottle. All right. Now, dressing is always served on the side. Number one, it won't wilt the salad. And number two, some people don't like dressing. All right, so right there. All right, so now let's just garnish our salad and then we will be done. All right, so here is my salad. I'm just gonna toss that up. It's our romaine and our iceberg, and then we're just gonna garnish it. All right, so just like so. All right, so I am first gonna start off with putting my cucumbers right on. Now it's gonna be very heavy on the top. Remember, it's gonna have all those toppings and then people can dig in and get a little of everything. Okay, we're gonna have our onions, natural separation, just like so. You do not have to add all of them. You can kind of pick and choose. Our carrots, see all that beautiful color, our celery, and then our tomato. All right, just like so. And then the last thing, now cheese can be on the side because of people that have dairy allergies, or you can put it right on the top, just like so. Okay, and then we have our tongs. So the guests in a buffet would go through, they would help themselves to some salad, and then they can squirt some dressing on top. And if they want some croutons, there would be a spoon here for the croutons.